2, 1. That's Tony Braxton. You're making me high. I was having a conversation with the great Chris Rock, and his philosophy was, at that point, he said, you never have to know what you will do, just know what you want. In other words, you have to have a thing, a line, which you will not deviate from. We heard it from our parents. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? I think we are watching an iteration of that play out over and over again. Like you will see allegedly well-principled men who argued vociferously against Donald Trump being accepted, who have now just accepted that that's the way to go. John Sununu, New Hampshire's governor, William Barr. Look at the heinous things they said. They knew that he did. But rather than have a moral center or a moral core, they're going to vote the party line. I hope that I never get to a place where I'm that blindly allegiant to have that much blind allegiance to anything. If you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything. You don't have to know what you will do, just know what you want. Reading an article, there's a whole county in Texas, Tarrant County, I believe. 96% of those people voted for Donald Trump. When asked, they all said, we don't believe he has the moral, like he's horrible as a president. He doesn't have the moral latitude. He shouldn't be president, but I'm going to vote for him anyway. That is where we're at. And the thing about it is, democracy was always fraught. It was always fraught with danger. It was always a tenuous proposition because it required people looking past their own desires and goals and circumstances. It required having a level of allegiance to an idea, to a principle. And we see those principles vacillate. Like I watched the police union a police union in Florida who gave their endorsement to Donald Trump. These are people who are bound and swear an oath to protect and to serve, to be the thin blue line between us and chaos, who signed up to endorse it. How do you stand there behind a man who's accused of 91 felonies? How do you stand behind a man who is is found guilty and liable for sexual battery? How do you stand behind a man who's guilty and liable for fraud? Because you have no moral center. At one time, they called themselves the moral majority. There has to be a line at which you will not be moved from. And America, 50% of America doesn't have it. It doesn't matter what happens. You could steal secrets. You could try to overthrow the government. You could pay off hookers. You could rape. You could lie. You could defraud. You still are my guy. And for whatever reason, that you can come around, even though the entire cities and states and counties know the truth and still just look the other way. But you have the temerity, and it's interesting because these are the very people that 30-some years ago thought that a man having sex with a woman and lying about it was an impeachable offense. Now those very people don't think that that someone who did something as heinous as having unprotected sex with somebody and lying to further his goals as president, they don't think anything should happen to him. Because when you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything. When you will see Bill Barr tell you how Trump should never have his hands on the levers of power, but willing to do it anyway, what chance do you have? When you have people that say, I don't care what he did, I know he's not fit for office, but I'm going to do it anyway. Democracy was always a fraught proposition. It was always tenuous. It always required people sacrificing, and no one seemed to be willing to do it. I can tell you now, if Barack Obama, who I loved a lot, did anything like this, he could not have my support. You could not have it because I have a line. Don't tell me about how great America is when we're relying. America is an idea that is fed by people and people of this mindset who would rather have an affiliation to a party and to an idea and to a party and to a failed notion of an idea than the democracy they talk about all the time. I want freedom, but this is it. You watch what he did at every turn. Even now, his latest business venture is tanking. Show me an example of this sterling success he had. You don't care. You don't, because the idea of democracy is to love a thing or a concept more than you love your own desires, your own self. And that is on full display. If you do not stand for something, you will fall for anything. You don't have to know what you will do. Just know what you want. And I will tell you this, at least half the country, there is nothing they won't accept. When Donald Trump stood on Fifth Avenue and said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and I wouldn't lose support, he was absolutely right. There's a little note from the GED section. Got the Jazz Report. Come up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.